Hello and thanks for joining us on this Sunday Millennial. I am your friend and host, Dave, the Millennial Moderator. We are joined tonight by Donald.
Hello, David.
Nice to see you. Welcome back, Kyler.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
A little hiatus there. Marketing trip, right?
Always.
Yes.
Always working.
Always business with you. But it's good to have you back. We got
Great to be
CJ
back.
running the board.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey!
Why are you laughing already?
I don't know. I don't know what's so funny.
He does that. That's his thing. Tonight we have a special guest. Shannon, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's really great for you to be here. You are our first female guest, if you don't count my niece.
That
She was
doesn't
te-
count.
She was technically on the show, I think, like season 2.
Hopefully she's not listening.
She will be listening, yeah. My 13-year-old niece, yeah. She was on the show. So, I don't know.
She's actually
Give the award to
14.
her.
She's actually 14. She turned 14.
She just turned 14.
She just had a birthday too. And
yeah, that was about a
David-
couple weeks ago.
Did you get her a gift? No.
I did. Disney Plus. All right. Yeah, so we'll make you the honorary first
Okay.
female guest. So we don't have an award or anything.
That's okay.
That's
I
awkward.
don't need an award.
You don't? No, okay. Well, whatever. But it's great for you to be here. Great to have you on. We're going to start the show, as always, by going to our guests. So, Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm 20 years old. I was born in 2000. I graduated from Blue Mountain, and I now own my own business, which is I'm an artist, but I sell tie-dyes primarily, but I also do paintings and stuff like that and sell those, but they're mainly custom. So, yeah.
Do you do this online, or do you have like your own little shop?
No, I do wish to have my own little shop one day, but just right now, the online market is going crazy right now, so that's like what I focus on. And I do sell a lot locally, obviously, people around here. So those people I just meet in person, but I do ship orders out. I've actually shipped all the way to Illinois, North Carolina, and I don't know, there's a few more. I don't remember them all, but
Interesting. And you said primarily, well, actually, what sells more? The clothes? I think you primarily sell the clothes online. I've seen your website.
yes. the
Very cool, by the
tie-dyes-
way.
Thank you. The tie-dyes sell way more than the paintings just because I put more effort into the tie-dyes because I want those to be my main focus. But I started out with more paintings, actually. I do like album covers and stuff and sell them
wow.
to people. So that's how I kind of got started. If you go back on my feed and my Instagram, there's a lot more paintings on there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you're sampling the merch there, obviously.
Oh, of course. I have to represent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're an artist by trade. Like you started out making paintings and then
Yeah.
made-
I've always been super into art. Even when I was like 5 years old, me and my mom would do coloring books, just like not just scribbling on them, like super advanced, like shading them and stuff like that. So all through school, I was in art talent. So it was just always in me, you know?
that's cool. So
Mhm.
with being an artist, I mean, I know people that are artists and what they do is they try to find something that's very unique to them. You
Mhm.
know, like some people are really good at, you know, my aunt, for example, she's a sculptor. She sculpts
Mhm.
clay, statues and sculptures, just
Yeah.
like just self-replicas or of other people, depending
Mhm.
if people do it. But she's done that her whole life, and she got into art school, and then she went down sculpting
Yeah.
as her art. So do you think that you found like your calling, like what makes you, like you wake up and you grind for this kind of thing?
Okay, well, actually, back in the day, before I started doing tie-dyes, I wanted to do pottery and ceramics because fell in love with it in school. I was going to go to Kutztown for it and go through the traditional route for it, but then once I started tie-dyeing, I fell in love with it, and I kind of forgot about ceramics and stuff like that. I was going to have my own shop and everything and sell tie-dyes in it, but I figured if you're going to try and do something and get wealthy from it, you have to focus on one thing instead of like evening yourself out through a bunch of things. If you put all your effort into one of those things, it has a better chance of skyrocketing.
Donnie tells me that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Ideas. I want to spread us out real thin. And Donnie's like, no.
Yep, it's
Said
true.
exactly what
Find
you
your
said.
niche.
I'm the same
Find your
way.
niche, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
why I kind of stopped doing paintings as much too, so I could really focus on and do tie-dyes over and over until it becomes a habit to me.
Yeah.
So So
Well, what made you switch from going the traditional route, as you said? Because obviously that was in your mind. What made you say,
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up my own business and sell
Yeah.
my own stuff?
I really wanted to be a self-taught artist. That's what I wanted to be able to like label myself as. And if you go to school for it, you can't really be self-taught. And they don't really have tie-dye classes in school. You know, there's only there's like very few art fields that you could go into. So, and as I was finishing high school, none of those appealed to me at all. So I just boycotted the whole idea of going to school. Even when everybody was like, oh, you need to go to school, you need to do this, you're never going to get anywhere. So that was just
Look at you now.
Exactly. That was just my motivation to just prove them all wrong and work harder at
What's up,
it.
haters?
Yeah, exactly.
What's cool is I went to a liberal arts school down in Reading, and the liberal arts school that I went to was called Albright College, and they were what Albright's known for is they're known for some business classes and business courses they teach, but they are notoriously known for fashion. So when I was at school, when I went to college, so just to give you a background, like where I'm from, I went to school in Pine Grove.
Okay.
So I went to school in Pine Grove, very non-liberal school.
Yeah.
Like in terms of spectrums, you could just say all the way to conservative. So
Yeah.
going from that to liberal arts school, where most of the people going to that school were fashion designers, people who had very artsy backgrounds, and I went there I went there for chemistry. Ended up changing it to music business because I met kids there that were just artists, like people that sat down in front of a open canvas, and they can just turn something into from nothing into something. So I met a lot of people like that. And that's kind of what opened my eyes. And I think that's why me and David get along a lot, because we both went to liberal arts schools. And in those schools, you become more open to just things in general, but you see a lot of different things you wouldn't get had you not gone to college. Now, you're taking the traditional route where you don't go to school. I think it's cool because you will find out a lot of things on your own that you wouldn't be able to find elsewhere, which is a cool grind too. Like you'll get somewhere with that, but it's interesting. I met a lot of artists growing up in college, but I never met one that successfully just has done it, and they have too. But meeting you now, it's cool.
Yeah,
cool
it's all about networking. That was my main thing about not going to college. If you go to college, you meet tons of more artists, tons of people like you. Therefore, your work gets to them, their work gets to you, and you support each other, like artists supporting artists. But that's like the harder thing with going your own route. You have to reach out on social media mainly, or people around your hometown, or other small businesses, and tell them about your business. You have to physically communicate that you're doing something on your own, and like always be talking about it, just so people are aware of it and they become interested in it. So like if you show them you have a passion with it, they'll immediately fall in love with your passion too and support you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of just to go off what Donald said, it's interesting that a lot of small business owners, a lot of them did not go to higher education, which is pretty interesting. But when was the first time you tie-dyed, and like why tie-dyeing?
Okay, so like I said, I was always just into art, and actually one of the dudes I dated, his ex-girlfriend was like a tie-dyer, and I thought it was like really cool. So me and my boyfriend at the time just like we're messing around and making tie-dyes, and right off the bat I fell in love with it. I could not stop doing it. I'd come home from school. Well, okay, so the first time I did it was sophomore year. That's when I first got into it, and I would just sell them for $5. I remember the exact post I made on Facebook, and I was like, if I started making tie-dyes, who would buy them in school, like for $5? And they went crazy. Like everybody was like, yeah, I would. So every day I'd come home, just immediately throw my book bag down and start making tie-dyes right away, because I knew people wanted them, and I was going to make money from it. So
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Did you go to West?
No, East.
Well, I remember when I went to West, we did like tie-dyes like for like the fun day thing. We had like a fun
West Fest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that one. It's just I just keep going back to that. I'm thinking in my head, like I can remember being like 8, 9 years old, and we're like doing tie-dyes.
I don't
And
remember.
it's like it's crazy to me because it's like, what?
Yeah. Actually, after I started doing them, and like my art teachers knew about it, and everyone that I was in school with knew about it, because I had started my Instagram at this point, they would do tie-dyes for like this jamboree thing that they had every year, and they would call me down and be like, oh, Shannon's a tie-dye master. Like, Shannon, can you help me do this? What pattern am I going to get from this? Like, they would just throw it all on me, and I loved it. I'd be running around throwing dye.
Do you call yourself
everywhere.
that, tie-dye master? That's a
No.
great title. You should definitely
Yeah.
copyright that.
Put it in my
Shannon,
bio.
tie-dye master.
Actually, it says tie-dye fanatic on my
Ooh,
Instagram.
That's pretty cool
page.
too.
Yeah.
Pretty cool too.
Yeah, I was thinking about Jane Banderie, and I think you had some displays on there.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing too is you were talking about and Donald about that kind of like the perception that you have to like go to higher education like college,
Mm-hmm.
and I never went to college, so and this is kind of like our small
Yeah.
business. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But when you were saying, well, so to that too, it's when I was in college. Yeah, college will get you the connections. Absolutely. Like you will meet people that, I mean, not just people that are good at what they do, but you'll meet people that went back as teachers that have connections to
Yep.
bigger businesses and industries where they could plug you from the college scene right into the manufacturing and the
Exactly.
processing scene. So I had a friend that graduated 2 years younger than me that was a fashion designer. He was a cool dude. Ended up going to work in New York, and all the girls that were in the other sororities in my school, I was in a fraternity, so I met them through events like through Greek life, and they would just tell me about what they did and where they went. And after we graduate and I'd see pictures of what they're doing, they're literally on like Wall Street, New York, and they're doing stuff where they're pad and pen falling. Like, you ever see the movie Devil
Yeah.
Wears Prada?
Mm-mm. I
You-
don't
oh
watch
my!
a lot of movies.
You're sitting there making T-shirts and you've never watched that movie.
But you
and-
have, which is funny.
Well, it's weird because I had to watch. So once again, I went to liberal arts school. One of my
they made you watch.
one of my I swear to God, one of my
They
film
strapped you
classes. One of my teachers was he was gay, and he would make us watch some pretty edgy films. And honestly, some of the stuff we watched got kind of weird. But he forced this one down our throat, and it wasn't that bad. I was like, all right, I can see the story behind it. This girl's going up. She wants to do this. But either way. These girls were doing this stuff, making shirts in New York. So like, yeah, you can go to college and you can get that, but the price tag to come with that will almost set you where you're at now. Like I know
Exactly.
those girls got to pay a lot to get with, and if
Gotta
if
pay your
you have
dues.
if
Gotta
you
pay
have
your
a
dues.
parent that's willing to pay for your college, go to college. My God, like
Exactly.
if someone's gonna pay for your college, don't waste your time not going to college. But if you're looking to get right into something, you can. It's one of those industries where you don't need. Someone's not going to say, well, this girl's making tie-dye T-shirts and she doesn't have a degree. That shirt sucks. They're going
Yeah.
to say, that looks dope. Guess what? It looks dope.
And she's worked 20 times harder to get to this stage and be known than someone, not all people, but some that has gone to college though.
Right.
Like they see the effort and the work that goes into all of it once they start digging deeper on a person.
Well, that's a good point, and that's going to lead us into the focus, which is millennial small businesses. Even though
Had to think
I'm
there for a
millennial. Well, because
Hesitated.
some of us at the table aren't millennials, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But that's a good point. Putting in the hard work, and Kyler alluded to it. So there's a lot of great data out there from this past year about small businesses, and particularly millennial small businesses. And one of the interesting pieces of data is that almost half of all millennials that own a small business don't have a college degree.
Yeah.
Almost half. That's crazy.
I
That's
mean,
insane.
it's almost like a path that you choose, because if you go to college, there's so many other things you have to worry about other than making your product and getting out there and networking. Like you have the tests, you have to study, you have to make projects that aren't going along with your work. So it just takes so much time out of what you could actually be putting into your business like full time. So I even had to I did have a job at like an art place called the Arts Barn, but I had to quit that just so I could get my business up and moving like 10 steps higher than it was, because just doing both at the same time, I wasn't getting the results I wanted to in the amount of time that I wanted to.
But also, like, you get, there's certain degrees you can get, but they're not narrowly focused. Like a lot of small businesses like yours is very narrowly focused. And like you
Exactly.
said, you don't have tie-dyeing classes in college. So it really doesn't, it broadens maybe your knowledge or what you can do, but it doesn't focus on what you're really passionate about.
Well, that was the exact question I was going to ask before you jumped in there, Kyler. But you kind of bring it up though. For those of us who have gone to college, do you think that extra fluff was worth it, as far as what we want to do? You're kind of an outlier, Kyler, because you're a teacher, so obviously your education was very important, obviously. But you run a small business with your mother though, so.
Yeah, so I guess you kind of...
And she went to college too.
Yes. So she does have a business degree, but she
Yeah.
also just an associate's degree. It's not a bachelor's. But just kind of being in the school setting, business is a focus. I know in Pennsylvania, they're trying. They have a 10-year plan to get students more focused on business in high school. There's actually a neat program, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. I unfortunately can't think of the name, but basically you would start your own business.
I know what it is.
You would start
Future Business Leaders of America.
Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think it was exactly FBLA, but it's a different program in Schuylkill County, and basically you can apply for grant money was put aside, and you had to have a business plan. You have to present it to a board, and then they decide if they want to give you money or not.
I actually did think I heard about that.
I know when I was at Haven, I know a few students that took advantage of that program, which is really cool that high school does focus on business so much. And I think that's also why a lot of high school graduates are somewhat successful at business, is because they do focus on it. So it's pretty interesting.
But why though? So this is the data that I got didn't give us reasons why. It just gave us the raw data. Yeah. We all saw it. But the question I want to ask to everyone though is why? Like, why do millennials and even Gen Zers, why do they not feel the need to go to college if they want to open a small business? I have my theory, but I want to hear yours.
Okay, so I think that these kids growing up and young adults are realizing that there isn't just one option, which is going to school and then working for somebody else. They are realizing you can work for yourself, and some of them don't take that jump right away to jump into that. They go to college and then figure out they want to have their own business. But I've thought about it so long and so hard that I've kind of chose between the two options and realized I'm just going to try and do it right away. And if I need to go back to school later and learn more business things or a different art field, then I'll do that. But I just think kids are realizing they can work for themselves and make their own money now, and that it's very doable in this day and age.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I think I agree with 100% what you said. I think that some kids know what they want to do. Some kids. I think some kids, when they go through high school, they may not have sports. They may not have some form of social thing that plugs them into the next step. So when I went to high school, it was almost a herd mentality to go to college. When we graduated in 2011, I didn't know one kid that was in my immediate friend group that wasn't going to college. So it was okay, we're all going to college. That's what you do. There wasn't like, okay, you're not going to college. What are you going to do if you don't? It was, where are you going to college? It wasn't a question of how come you're not, or are you choosing to go to college or not? It's, so did you decide where you want to go yet? Exactly. We didn't even have that in our vocabulary. So we were all almost forced into it. And looking back, it's something that I'm glad I got pushed into. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of kids that are sitting on over $100,000 in debt for what they have. And it's something that if you don't know what you're going to do, my music business degree could not exist right now, and I'd be in the same chair. I'd be doing the same thing. Nothing would have kept me back. Now, not saying that I would. I mean, I think that the liberal art degree that I got gave me more of an articulate imagination. I know for a fact that it helped me in ways that some things wouldn't have. But it's not to say that's the only way to get there. There are other ways, and there are ways where you don't have to spend that price tag to get there. So it's just, I think if you're lucky, where I think you're lucky is that you kind of knew what you wanted to do at an early age. You're blessed in that way. But
and even in high school, like my senior year was so awkward in the same sense because everybody was just talking about which college they were going to and which friends they were going to the same college and what parties they were going to get into. And I would literally just sit here like I wouldn't even look at anybody because like I knew I was going to do my business, but it was so hard like saying that to someone at that point because it was just starting to grow and I was just seeing like the numbers go up in it. So like I just felt so awkward, like, oh yeah, I'm not going to college. And I just like put my head down. Like it's all.
Did people give you a lot of shit for it?
Yeah. Not really a lot of shit. Like people kind of were like, oh, okay, just good luck, and like look the other way. And my art teachers were actually like the main people that gave me shit for it, and were like, you need to go to college, like.
Those teachers.
Coming from an art teacher, I'm actually surprised.
But no, I was super close to both of them. So after the fact that it happened, Mr. Whalen actually made me cry the one day
No.
because I told him, like, he was like, Shannon, why are you so wishy-washy about, like, this college thing? And I was like, you know what, Mr. Whalen, this is the 7th time you asked me. I figured it out. I'm not going. I'm just going to try and do my business. And he goes, yeah, with what work ethic? And I was like,
Wow.
I started crying and walked away.
Our
But
sister,
he-
by the way, is not going to like that. She's
Yeah.
really good friends
Yeah.
with him.
He was trying to get in my head, like, that I couldn't do it, so I'd work harder to get and do it.
It
Now,
almost-
I've
it almost
talked
sounds
to
like he
him-
Reverse psychology.
It almost sounds like he
Yes.
gets a kickback for like sending you to college. Like he's like, oh man, I got Shannon to go to
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
a system,
Success.
and Kyler can talk about this. It kind of is a system where all those teachers were educated through college, and they know the
Exactly.
value of it too. It's nothing against them. They just know the value of
Mhm.
getting your education, being more enlightened, knowing more people.
Yeah.
There's a value to just leaving here.
Exactly.
There really is.
For sure.
Honestly,
yeah.
there really is. I would not be the same person if I didn't leave here.
Mhm.
I say it all the time, especially people who don't look like me, who are not white,
Yeah.
not straight, not. It's just. I wouldn't
just
know. I
true,
wouldn't
yeah.
know. So I needed that, and now is that
It
worth
builds
everything I
character.
paid for? I don't know. That's debatable, but. The thing is, though, is there's a lot of value to going to college, but of
Mhm.
course those teachers who got that education are going to
Yeah.
perpetuate that to
Exactly,
you. So you
'cause
can't
that's-
give them too much.
Yeah, that's all they know.
Crap
And
for
I'm like, no offense towards him at all. Like, I understand why they both tried telling me to go that path, because through their lives, that's how they got their start in the art world, and that's how they're doing what they're doing in the art world. But I never wanted to be a teacher or work in the school with art. So
Well, I can tell you this. Mr. Whalen probably makes X amount of money. There are artists out there that never walked through the doors of a college that are making way more than Mr. Whalen. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't base your whole life of, well, he made it. No way.
exactly,
you know?
and that what kind of ties into. I was also, all my social medias are filled with small business owners, like basically just artists like me that sit at home, do their own thing, make necklaces, like. But this one girl sells a necklace for $200. I'm actually wearing one of them right now.
That was
This
$200.
$175 just for this necklace.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah, she has older one, like bigger ones that she is doing now. This is like the one I bought a year before I bought this was $100. So like as she's progressing, she just keeps upping the price. by,
that
like,
makes
Wow.
sense. That makes sense.
So I've just been.
But there is
feeding
that
myself.
term, though, what do they call it? Starving artist or whatever. Isn't that
Yeah.
that term, right?
Exactly.
So I guess
because-
it depends on what you want, though. And I want to ask you, I know we're kind of getting off topic into a personal question, but there's one thing to just want to be passionate about what you do. If you're an artist or a musician or what artist is, I'm using artist
Yeah.
as very broad, whether
Broad,
that's
yeah.
a musician or an actor.
You're
or-
creator.
Creator,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Designer, creator.
Artist, anyway, that term is loaded because we think of a painter.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I mean artist as a creator. But if you're that person who wants to do that and have a passion for producing something that's creative and not really care about the money, then that term starving artist is kind of just, you just embrace it because it's just what you like to do and you get
Exactly.
enough to get by. But is that what you want to do, or do you actually want to like
That's a
be
great
wealthy?
question. My theory with it is, this is like was kind of in my head as I was thinking like which route I wanted to do. If you just do like what you want to do, your passion as you go, and don't quite worry about how much money you're making by hour, how much you're making every week, and how much you're making every month, and what it all adds up to. Focus on the product, enhancing your product, making it better by practicing. Each time you do it, you get better and you learn something new. The value of those go up as you go, so you'll make more money as you go.
It's a shame that that's not the business model.
Yeah.
What's
The
crazy is
business model is how much can we make, how less can we
Right.
make it,
Mhm.
how fast can we make it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
just hearing you
It's-
talk about just that last tidbit there, it just sounds like you've had to learn all that the hard way.
Mhm.
Like it just seems like, for your age and where you're at, like I've heard people, twice your age say it the same way. Cause it's like, yeah, you can look at something and say, how much do you make an hour doing that? Or what's your salary on that? And it's like, for a job or for what you do, it's not so specific where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to make exactly $685 at the end of the week.
Yeah.
You look at it in a way that it's like, how can I make this better? How can I do this better? Because that's what
Exactly.
smart people. That's why I think smart people say, and what rich people probably end up saying is
Mhm.
they look at it in a way that's more dynamic. That it's not just, yeah, I'm making X amount, but it's more, how can I do this better so that I can learn from this failure and I
Mhm.
can stack that onto what I know and
Yeah.
like keep growing in that way. So
Mhm. And if you do what you are truly passionate about, and like, because it's not even work to me, it's like fun. Like I get to just throw some dye in some shirts, try new designs, try different color combinations. It's not work. You just all your energy is going into it. So the money is just bound to happen if you're. any wealthy person or rich person, they're most likely doing what they're most passionate about, and the money is so easily just coming to them. So it kind of goes along that, like, if you're doing what you want and how you want to be doing it, the money will come, no matter how long it takes it to come or how little it takes it to come. If you are consistent with it, put work in every day, the money will come to you.
Yeah.
Because once again, people will realize you're so passionate about it, and just that is enough. I've even witnessed it for people like, oh, I just love you so much and I love how you're doing what you're doing, so I'm going to support you. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the passion thing's really cool. And I like how you talked about like the risk,
mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's what a lot of people face, you know, do I, and maybe they don't see it this way, but do I go to college or start my own business? Do I take the risk of going into debt, trying to get a degree, or going into debt, starting a business?
Exactly.
But sometimes you don't go into debt starting your own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess every situation is kind of unique, but I kind of think the message you would say to people is, you know, take that risk and do something that you're passionate about.
For sure. Because you can't just let fear hold you back from doing what you truly want to be doing in life and just take what's comfortable. Everything that's worth value in life is not going to be comfortable at first. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you sweat. It's going to make you nervous, make you overthink, make you stay up at night. But you got to do it. If you want it to happen, you can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. You have to make it happen.
That's really wise of you to say it.
Thanks.
Damn. Wow. No, it really is, because that's just, I think, a cardinal truth of life. Something I tell people a lot, but I didn't know it at 20.
No, I did not.
I know it now, of course. You know, but that's just really cool for you to say that. But going back to the original question, just bring us back. You know, I don't mean to be that person, but you know, just bring us back. We're talking about why is it that people don't want, why is it that half of the small business owners that are millennials don't have a college degree? You brought up about just being someone's passion and knowing that if they want to go for something, they'll just get it.
Yeah.
Donald kind of agree with you. Kyler brought up an interesting point too. Remind me again.
Which point?
Brought up a point that I
Mustn't have been that interesting.
Yeah,
No.
I don't remember.
It was really interesting. Oh, the debt. That's what it was. The debt.
Okay.
Realizing that sorry, I just blanked there for a second. But realizing that if you go to college, that there's a price to pay, and it's pretty hefty. So if you can just do it right away, you don't have that. So you're starting off not in the hole, essentially.
Yeah.
Because people can go to college for 4 years and get a business degree, but they're in the hole.
Exactly. And
So-
that's what always scared me about going to college. Like, I didn't want to, because I didn't know how much I would be making at first off of this. So, and like I said, the whole job and this was not working out for me. So I didn't want to stress myself out and spread myself thin and do that. But just that hole of debt horrified me. I did not want to spend all this money I didn't have, because I didn't have family members that were willing to pay for my schooling or.
Who does?
Exactly. So.
Well, some do, and that's a whole other podcast.
Well, that's the
Everybody
other
in
point,
Blue
though.
Mountain.
Those were good points. I think those are all valid. I think those are good. But my theory of it is, I think the numbers are skewed that way. I think the reason why it's half is because I don't think we realize that there's a lot of people of our parents and grandparents' generation who own businesses.
Yes.
And I think that kids just get, you're a prime example of that.
I'm
And you
the same
too. And
way,
you too.
yeah.
So you got two people here that show that. But I think three people that show that. And I think that's why the number is so high, because kids nowadays that are millennials or Gen Zers know that their family owns a business and they're just going to work in the business. They've worked there their whole life. They've done whatever they do. And then they get to that age where they can start taking over, or they just work there for the rest of their life. I think that's why, I think that's the big reason why the number is so skewed that way.
So you think
There's
it's
those people you're talking about and you're talking about who fit in that category, but I think there's a lot who just say, I'm working for the diner. You know, my family owns a diner. I'm just working in the diner.
I know a lot of people that work for like their parents' businesses, or now
Right.
they're like 20, 21, 22,
Right.
and they've taken over the business. And now
Yes.
their parents like practically work for them. But
Mm-hmm.
even my mom has her own cleaning business, so I just grew up like seeing everybody have their own business. My oldest brother Tyler, even when he was in high school, well, let's go back to middle school. He used to sell airheads to people out of his locker and make like $300
Right on.
a week off of
Damn.
it. Like,
Are you
and then
are you saying you're going to hire your mom? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
just
She can clean your
for
shop.
cleaning, yeah. And I'll make her staff some tie dyes. But and then once my older brother Tyler was in high school, he had a full blown landscaping business. Like, he actually used to pick me up from school. I would just skip school and come help him work for his business. So
Yeah.
He's actually a cop now, so he kind of ditched the whole business realm. But
I thought you were going to tell me he has his own airhead business or something.
No.
That would have been cool.
it's
Go back
just,
into the shop and there's just like tons of airheads like everywhere.
that'd be so funny. But business has always just been embedded in my whole family. Like,
Right.
even my little sister, she's trying to do nails. She does her own like acrylic nails. So me and my mom are trying to get her to like make a business out of it. Like, start doing this for your friends and start doing this and make an Instagram page for it, make a website for it, post it on Facebook, and just like network it so people see it and know it.
Well, that's the cool thing.
So what
Everyone
we're saying
here
is
has-
genetic. It's genetic.
I was
Well,
going to say that. I think it's
basically-
hereditary. I think
Well,
it's
that's what I was just
hereditary.
going to say.
I think it's passed down.
Everyone here, our family comes from a family of small businesses, and it's been passed down. Yours, and now yours too. So everyone here at this table has that.
Maybe that's why we're at this table. Think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy though, but I mean, I think that's a big reason why. Because when I saw the number, I mean, half.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think of this generation, the millennial generation, and I would put Gen Z in there too, you think it's a very educated generation.
Yeah.
It's people who, as you said, it's not like if you're going to college, where you're going to college.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the mantra. That's the mentality. We all know that. So to see that half of the people who own a small business that are millennials don't have a college degree, it was just fascinating. And they're actually outnumbered by boomers. So more boomers who own a small business went to college. If you actually look at the numbers, it's fascinating.
so
Yeah.
you're saying in the statistics, the boomers that are owning businesses right now, more of them have went to college than
Yes.
the amount of
Yes.
millennials that went to college to own businesses.
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is that hard to believe, actually.
It's very hard to
So
believe.
maybe that was just passed down through family. Like
Yeah.
from the first day you're born, you're conditioned from your parents mainly. So it's just more likely if your parents have a business, you grow up seeing them run their own business, making their own hours, do all that, and you're like, oh, that seems awesome. Like, I want to do that. So it just gets in your head and you start thinking about it.
I was just gonna say our buddy Vinny.
Oh yeah.
Vinny.
We all know, that's the thing too, is we all know people who do that.
You okay?
Yeah. We all know people who
You need a doctor?
no. We all know people who have had their parents or grandparents own a business and then they just kind of get into it too, which is kind of fascinating too. I think there's this, the data didn't show this, but there's an interesting thing too where I think a lot of families who own a small business or worked, those blue collar jobs, whether it was a factory job or some kind of manual labor or a small business, they worked hard in those grind labors so that their kids could go to college.
Yeah.
And I wonder if their all their efforts were in vain. No, I'm seriously, because the whole purpose was, you hear this all the time, I worked hard so I can send you to college.
Yeah.
You don't have to work as hard as I worked, all that stuff. And yet, what did we get for it?
I have
a lot of debt, and a useless
right now.
degree.
I think
So,
about
not all of us.
I
but-
think about it all the time. Like when I got to pay my student loans, when I first started paying them, it just felt like every month I was ripping out a piece of my heart and just like throwing it away. Like it kills your soul. Like debt is obviously a soul crusher, but actually I've had this discussion with multiple people before. My theory on going to college and having a debt like that. So I have like $97,000 in just student loan debt. I'm sure there's people that are like, oh, I have 100. Yeah, I have like 150. I know you got more than me. I know you're winning. In this. But I think if you can learn how to pay that bill off, and it sucks learning that, like it really does. But I've been paying that, and my credit score is over 800. I have an 820 credit score. With that much debt, it doesn't make sense. I feel like I should have like a 600 credit score because all of this debt stacked up against me just makes it. I look a liability. I'm just like a walking $90,000 liability. But I learned how to pay that every single month on time, which it's like. I look back and I'm like, damn. Like I talk to some of my friends and I don't even know why my credit score is so high, but I've learned that. So that's ingrained in me now. So when I pay that debt off, what am I capable of? So like I'm not saying that college taught me how to pay my bills, but like damn, like I got my shit together and I pay them every month by myself.
Once you pay your debt off, you'll reach your final form.
Yeah, I'll just ascend.
You reach your full potential. Yeah.
You'll start at zero. That's what I tell my dad all the time. It's like,
I'll buy a Tesla.
well, yeah. Well, that's the thing is I tell my dad all the time. It's like, you bought your house and that was a mortgage. I have a mortgage right now. When I finally pay off my debt, I'll be at zero. I'll be, wow, now all the money I make is mine.
Yeah. I'm 70 years old.
No, I'm 70 years old. Now I can buy my house.
Yeah.
Wait, what? But that's
About to die.
That's not what. Yeah, I'm about ready to die. Moving to the nursing home. It's not the same. But anyway, The other interesting fact, though, with this this data is that most of the millennials that own a small business are men. By far and large.
That, yeah.
By far and large. Only a quarter of, just about over a quarter of millennial small business owners are women. So, interestingly enough, we got a woman here.
Yeah.
To tell us, why do you, and the question is, why do you think that it's so, why do you think it's skewed that way?
Probably because, okay, I feel like men just have, no offense, but I feel like men just have this mindset where like, oh, I can do whatever I want. I can do anything. So let's go do my path.
Hell yeah.
And just not listen to like anybody else. And
So
they seem more independent than women. Like when women tend to depend on somebody else for everything or for support. Like women need a lot more support, I feel like, than men do to make a decision. You know what I mean?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Hey, it's just
Why do you
true.
sound like Trump?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. She said it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a perspective.
And there's definitely truth in that. Like it's you can grow up and you can see that men develop faster than women in some ways.
Yeah.
And some things genetically, you'll just see men, like you said, are just more, or they're less worried about risks than women. I think women are more.
That's probably true.
Women
I
who-
think more.
I
The
remember-
risk because
That's
the prefrontal lobe actually doesn't even develop until you're like 25
for men. Yeah.
for men. So, which means like you're as a man, you know, you're more willing to take risks.
Yeah,
Like
and
that sounds like a great idea.
women tend
Wait,
to-
did you think about that? Jumping off that bridge? Yeah, I thought about it. I'm doing it. You know?
Women tend to overanalyze everything too, so they like could pick out like, oh, what if this goes wrong, or this could happen like 10 years down the road, or this could not work out, and they just nitpick at everything. I feel like so men
Right.
are just like, oh, I see the end goal, and I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah. I remember listening to, it was a podcast a long time ago, and it talked about some genetic differences between men and women and their careers. So in this podcast, I want to say it was, wish I had a reference, so I didn't sound like an idiot saying this, but women just tended to be more caretakers in the sense that their way they process information, the way they see human interactions is they are better at caretaking. So they would hold more nursing jobs. They would have more caretaking jobs like in nursing homes and stuff like that. So they just, in general, women just would skew towards that because, like you said, I think they analyze things in a way and they're more passionate towards people than some men are. Men are more, I think, analytical and more data sometimes. I think with men, they're in this same podcast, they talked about how men just end up holding more like engineering jobs and
Wait, men?
Yeah, men. I think I wish I knew the statistic off the top of my head, but men in engineering, it's like something
Just
like
engineering or
90
STEM in general?
Well, in the whole scheme of things, they'll hold more jobs that have more analytical and more math oriented like stuff because men are less emotional when it comes to their work drive. I think, and I don't want to say emotions drive men and women
Right.
unequally. Men can obviously share the same as women,
Sure.
but in work and in their career, men would take on more jobs that are more monotonous that don't require emotion as much. So they'll take on like labor jobs where you're just
Bricklaying.
mindlessly working. Bricklaying.
We
Or
know one.
engineering where you're just counting numbers, stacking math, stuff like that, where they would hold those jobs. So that's in that podcast, that's where that information. So that's where my thought comes in. It's like, it makes sense that we would hold those individual jobs differently. But it just seems like in this case, where we're talking about millennials and today's age and Gen Zers with holding businesses, where we're at is we're seeing that when you get into the workforce now, I think that'll sizzle out in a way. I think you'll see it, and it already is trending where men are holding more nursing jobs and women are holding more engineering jobs, which is cool because I think with where we're going in the United States, I think things are just crossing paths where we have better opportunity for both men and women to do different things. So it's cool. And then also more women are also owning jobs than they used to. That's trending upwards, right?
Oh
Women,
my God,
women
yeah.
are owning more jobs now than men, and it's kind of going this way. So it's kind of evening out. So I think
There was a
the equality
dominance.
is there.
There was a dominance where men would mostly work and women wouldn't. I mean, and there was always outliers. You know, even in CJ and I's family, you know, our grandmothers worked jobs. Our great grandmother had a job. That's rare. But I mean, it's even trending more now. Where it's not even a thought anymore. Like most women now, you can tell me if I'm wrong, want to have to or want to get a job. It's not like,
Oh, yeah,
oh
for
well,
sure.
you know.
Like I said, they want to be more dependent on themselves.
Right.
Back in the day, I feel like women very much relied on men or their partner to support them and their family. But even along with like people separating and having children and separating, like the women just want to be able to hold their ground now, I feel like, if the men decides to not be in the life anymore.
So yeah, I agree with you guys on how some of those are like kind of plateauing or they are becoming more equal. But I'm a historian, and that's how I look at things through the lens of history. Back in the 1950s, women were seen, there was a handbook that they were supposed to follow about being a good housewife. And every single woman was supposed to be a housewife. So go a generation beyond that. Now we're in the 1970s. Their kids still have that belief. So this isn't something that's going to change over one generation or even two, in my opinion. It's going to take many generations until we see that fizzle out. But this cultural barrier or this male privilege is definitely something that is real. And you really see that the trades as well today is where a lot of men are in the trades. And I think that also kind of helps skew the information as well, or the data that we were looking at. But
they often use that against income inequality amongst men and women.
Yeah.
If you actually consider the jobs that men take or do, such as skilled labor, especially in like the oil refinery business or things like that are very dangerous, they're going to make more because it's like for every person who works on an oil rig, it's like 9 men to 1 woman.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of money. So I'm just saying there's that. I mean, I'm not saying. All I'm saying is that that's a factor sometimes we have to realize. But it is changing, though. It is changing.
Yeah, even back, like, before I had any clue what I wanted to do, and I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, oh, I have to go to school. I have to do this. Like, when high school started, I was looking into tech and stuff like that. And I was super interested in, like, carpentry and masonry and all, like, the manly jobs. But every time we'd go to, like, the tours at the places, there was no girls in there. So I was like, oh, I don't want to be surrounded by men the whole time. So that's what steered me away from it. But
then we go to the cosmetology place and it's all girls.
Yeah, I did not want to do that.
But I think it is changing, though. Even for me, that I work in a hospital, I mean, it is majority of the nurses are women, but there are some men nurses. We know we have a good friend that's a male nurse.
I know so many now.
So yeah, no, yeah. Well, I'm just saying we have a mutual one.
I know.
But I mean, even me on my floor that I work at, you know, I'll see some male nurses working there, and then I'll see a lot of female physicians. The female physician that I work under is a female.
Yeah.
Wait, the physician I work under is a female. I said female physician I work under is a female. Yeah. The physician I work under is a female. It's
crazy.
Did you see that too?
If we see physician.
Physician.
I'd be physician.
Yikes.
I'd be physician. Isn't that like a
the physician I work under is a female, and you see that more too. Women working more because for sure, like physicians and doctors were mostly male dominated, and the nurses were mostly female dominated. But now that's changing too, and you know I know that's not a small business, but it's about jobs though for sure. But it's interesting how the dynamics are changing, and I think that's a good way to segue into kind of the end of our conversation. That is, you know, what makes us the future of small business in America? Especially for all the things we talked about. Remember, now we talked about jobs now. We got into the jobs. So those aren't small business jobs. Nursing, physicians, oil riggers, and things like that we're talking about. Carpenters and masons and stuff like that. But what makes us, though, the future of small business? Anyone. Kyler?
I'll jump in. Yeah. So I think it's kind of what do the consumers want? So I looked up a bunch of, you know, jobs that are atop of these businesses, you know, food, personal trainers. So a lot of people are health conscious today. Recreation. So things like axe throwing or escape rooms, whatever's kind of trendy today as well. Pets. There's so many millennial families that don't have kids. They have pet puppies. The puppies are their kids.
You need sitters.
So what's that?
You need sitters too and dog walkers.
Yep, absolutely. So it just, I think it really will depend on, you know, what's the need of the consumer.
Yeah, like growing up, well, especially people like me that are into not just getting a job and focusing on that and working for someone else, they see little like needs throughout the community mainly that they live in. It's like, oh, like people need, like you said, someone to watch their dogs or something. So like, oh, let's go put some flyers up downtown at the grocery stores and like see who pulls me and calls my number and stuff like that. And then they see that it kind of works, so they're like, oh, I could probably make something out of this. Like, and that's kind of how it happened with me. I was like, wait, people are super interested in this actually, and tie-dye was kind of blowing up around that time. So I was like, I could maybe do something with this and maybe make some decent amount of money off this.
That's cool that you can see that like there is a community need for some things. Like if you look at, you know, a town like where we live in a rural area. So most of what we get and what I get now is shipped to my house. So if I want something cool like that, you know, I could easily find it, sure. But if I knew, especially I try to promote this because I'm like that, where if I knew somebody around me can do something or offer something to me, I'm calling them first. I mean, it's just how, because my dad growing up, he would have friends that he would rely on, and it just I seen that more as like and I'm more like, I like things that are quality. I think that's one thing too. I think millennial generation and just newer generations in general see is that there are products that we used to get from China. So all of our stuff, when that started coming into the economy, all of our quality went down for some of our products. I think what I see most is I like when something's homemade, or when someone does make something that's crafted, that was made in American soil. And I'm not a nationalist. I just think it's cool that the guy down the street made this. I think it's so cool.
There's always more effort put into small businesses too.
What's that?
There's always more effort and love
put
into
more love. Exactly.
Here's the thing.
Labor and love.
Here's the thing that's fascinating that I don't think nobody thought of, because Kyle, as you know, I'm a historian too.
Ooh,
Yeah,
too.
That's where I went to.
I was going to say something.
And I love
Kyler
when he-
says it almost all the time. He says,
He doesn't realize I'm
a
a history
historian,
degree
and
too.
I bring that into this show. And
I have a history degree too.
Great.
I don't have an education.
1v1 on history.
Right. But he's an educator. I'm not. But here, I'll try to educate you. The boomer generation, and I know we have a lot of beef with them. That's okay.
Okay,
who
boomer.
said that?
Yeah.
I love
Who
that
said
meme.
that? What do you mean? You never heard the phrase,
Well,
okay,
like-
boomer?
Yeah, that's a meme.
Yeah.
All right, you're right, CJ. We got no beef. Anyway, that generation, though,
Whatever.
is known for the hippie movement.
We
the
got
free
beef.
love.
I just got to say that.
The free love movement. Am I correct? You could probably, yeah, understand that. And their mantra was, you know, free love and against the man, colloquially the man, against power. You know, this capitalist system of oppressing people and money, and they hated that money, right? Too, possessions. John Lennon, CJ said.
What do you say?
You're the historian. Tell us.
No, imagine all the people or whatever. Imagine no possessions.
Oh,
all-
okay,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
all,
yeah.
Jeez, work with me. Work with
Gotcha.
me. So there was this idea that in their generation that, you know, we could love freely, we could live freely, and we didn't need money and possessions and the system that our grandparents fought for, right? Well, you know what happened, right?
What?
They became that.
Oh, yeah.
They
Usually-
became that system. They became
Exactly.
getting a job. They became making money. They became the people who are in power right now, who are really old, right?
I think I have a theory on that.
Hold on. But so they gave up their
Classes in session.
Yeah, no, but they gave up on their values and their virtues. They really did. And that's the thing I don't really appreciate about boomers who talk a lot of shit about
they
us.
gave
That's
up.
true.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
I
though.
just like your like
They
campaign
traded-
right
You're
now
telling our
against
dad
They
gave
Bush.
up.
traded. They traded their. I sound like Trump. Now, excuse me. They traded their tie-dye shirts for suits.
Yeah,
they did.
that's
Ask
true.
any of them. They did. They decided, okay, maybe our parents were right. Gotta get a job.
Yeah.
You know, and they started owning businesses. They went to college, as we saw in the stats, but then they got their own businesses, or they worked for the man and all that stuff, and they made money, and they made a lot of money. Those
Yeah.
people who are running the biggest tech companies right now, or all that stuff, they're boomers. You know, they're going against what their virtues. Us, though, the point I'm trying to make is us, though, I don't think we have, at least yet.
Okay, but right now we're in the
okay,
young
boomer.
stage. I
Okay,
would like
boomer,
to see
but-
you in 40 years from now and see
True.
if you haven't changed. That
But
would
right
be-
now, but the point is
Yeah, I'm
right,
on that page too.
no, but right now, okay,
Yes.
okay, maybe. But the point is right now, though, it's just everything we've been talking about, homemade stuff, knowing what are the needs of the community. I see that a lot of people could use a tie-dye shirt. I'll make that my business, and I'll sell that for people, and not a cutthroat rate either, by the way. So you're gonna give to the needs of the people. Dog sitting, just like you said. What's trending? It's not about what's going to make me the most money the fastest. It's about what does my community need? How can I contribute? And how can I make a little money on the side too and support myself? That's the point I was trying to make. This cup right here,
That you bring up every podcast.
I got this at the Bollesburg Arts Festival. Someone made this. Handmade
Awesome.
this.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you use it all the time.
I use it all the time. It's my favorite thing ever. Oh, one of my favorite things.
I
ever.
like the way you said somebody made this. Somebody made everything in this
Yeah.
room, but it's
But it didn't come from
you made.
China.
So you're
Didn't come from-
you're a nationalist too.
Yeah. No, but that was the point I was trying to make, is that there's people out there in our generation who know that and recognize that, and they're going to start businesses, or they're going to work in fields that are more attributed to their values and not to money. That's the only point I was trying to make.
I would
is that-
laugh if the paint from that came from China. That'd be hilarious.
Or it just
I swear
says-
to God.
or it's just straight made in China. The
No,
whole
I
cup.
bought it.
Look underneath the bottom.
They just bought it at a
Drink it
store
and
and,
turn
put
at
it
the
at the
bottom.
art show.
No, it has the person's symbol right there. Actually, you can see that's
Oh,
why it's
that's
authentic.
awesome.
Oh, wow.
Okay. it does
So
look-
they're
it does
sealed.
look
Okay.
cool.
It's
Mhm.
legit.
Love that.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Ask Brad. I got this with Brad.
Who's
No one knows who
I don't
that
know
is,
who
but
Brad
he,
is.
Okay,
Brad, who's
Hey, Brad.
listening, will know what I'm talking about.
Hey, shout out to Brad.
Yeah.
But the point is, do you see
Hi,
my
Brad.
point though? The point I was trying to make though is that I don't think that we're giving up on our values, that we're committed to the
Well,
community.
so I have a thought about that. The whole time you're talking, this is what I was thinking. So
You weren't listening.
no, I was listening, but then like also like, what am I supposed to say to some of the stuff you say? Here's the thing. I think that we have an opportunity at this age that they wouldn't have had in the 70s, 60s, 50s, whatever era. Take us back 10, even 15 years. Now today, if let's say I had take me back to 70s, I had no access to my own marketing. What am I going to do? Post a picture of my tie-dye shirt on TV?
Exactly.
There's 4 channels. Okay, so now I think now where we're at is we're at a very good age, or sorry, a very good time where we have the opportunity to make ourselves entrepreneurs or self-made business owners at a much better, bigger scale. Like you can take that shirt and you can get that into the eyes of somebody that lives 5,000 miles away.
In
You couldn't
Illinois
do
or North
that.
Carolina.
Right, your sales
Yeah.
don't come from just, School County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They come from somewhere. So we have an opportunity, which is really cool, that if you do have the tenacity and the wits about you to go and make your own business, you don't have to rely on opening up a brick and mortar building where you're going to need, a couple grand to open the building, get people in the door to look at your shirts. You can do it in another way. And I
Exactly.
think if you're smart enough, and honestly, it's kind of easy. I'm not saying it's what you're doing is easy and anyone can do it.
No, yeah.
But you could probably explain it and show someone how to do it, but that same person has the opportunity to do it will probably still choose to work at a Walmart distribution
sure,
center.
exactly.
It's just 2 different people.
And it all goes back to networking and social media. And honestly, you can teach yourself anything on YouTube.
Oh
in
my
this
God, I
day
love
and age.
YouTube. I love it.
Anything. I've fixed my own car just by watching YouTube videos.
We learned how to do all this on YouTube
Yeah.
pretty
Bet
much.
you did. I've learned how to do a lot of my tie-dyes off
Yeah.
YouTube. And which is another thing. There's not a lot of tie-dye people on YouTube. So I think
Ooh, video
There you
idea.
go.
I'm going to start making videos about them and how-tos, because even when I was like searching like new designs, like how to do this design, I could not find anything. So
It's interesting though. But see, and then this goes to values. Would you want to do that? Because you're making more competition for yourself.
true. What do you mean on YouTube?
Yeah. So if you want to share how to make, maybe I'll start making my own tie-dyes and
See,
start sell them
I
online
think
too.
about this
That's
all
why
the
he wanted to
time.
bring you on. He
Maybe-
wanted to start on tie-dye
Maybe I'll
business.
start selling my tie-dyes and run this county and
I
get you out of
think about
business.
that all the time, and I have seen it. There's girls behind me that has like seen my things, and they try to make tie dyes. And I'm not trying to sound conceited or anything, but go and try and make a tie dye. It is way harder than you think it is.
I did it in
and
8th grade.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't we do that in school?
Probably.
I think maybe
Yeah, but
Westfest. I don't
raise
know.
Then they
That's what I
always-
said. That's what I was like. It blew my mind
Yeah.
that she has a business, and
Yeah.
I was doing this when I was
Exactly.
whatever.
But it wasn't that great.
They
Ra-
always
no, it
come
wasn't.
out like you're like, oh wow, I put so much work.
Half
into
it's
that.
white and
like,
half it's colored, yeah.
Exactly. Like, and that's how my first ones came out too. But as you keep going, like every single time I do a shirt, still to this day, I realize like, oh, this technique or this fold did that, and putting this color here did that.
Hold
and
up
then
your
I
shirt.
could change it.
I mean, like that does look like it's hard. I mean, it looks like it was printed. That's what it
This
looks like.
honestly was one of like 2 years ago, back in the day when I made this shirt.
Yeah,
But
it looks printed. I don't know.
yeah,
But
I mean,
still,
that's
you
just-
don't.
That's
you don't
that's
think
what I
that-
know about. That's what I know about tie
But you don't think that this is the thing, and this is the point I was trying to make. I know I asked
That's like
complicated
the third
questions.
time you've
You're
said
always
that.
trying to make a point. Just get it across.
That we're different though. That we're not so much about competing and making as much money as we can, and us versus them, and winners and losers. As our economy is, it's winners versus losers. I win, you lose. I make money, you don't.
but
Or I make more, you make less.
yes.
So if you
I-
do that, you're essentially inviting competition. Is what I'm saying.
Which to me is a good thing, because then you see more people doing your work and doing this, and you're like, oh, I want to put out a 20 times better product than I have been, just to like show people like, oh, keep trying and you can like get to this stage. Or I don't know, for me, because it's my passion, I like really enjoy it. I love when other people make tie-dyes and they post them. They're like, oh, would you guys buy these for $5? Because I'm like, yes, that's exactly where I started. Like, keep going. Like, you could do it. If you need help, I'll help you. Like, because then those people support you even more instead of hating you for trying to like compete with them. They're like, oh my God, I love this girl. Like, I'm going to ask her for tips, or I'm going to support her business so she supports my art. And that's a huge thing too. I try to keep the money going in a flow, like through my people and artists I have on my social media, because if you spend money on them, they'll spend money on you. And it's just like artists support artists, and it's a full circle. It goes right around.
Well, I really hope that that continues. Like, I really hope that when you're 40 that you feel the same way about that. Because that, again, that was the point, is that there's a generation or two before us who thought the same way you thought, and then turned and said, "No, I'm gonna make my own money, and I'm gonna do my own thing."
You know, I
hope it doesn't. I just hope that spirit doesn't.
Maybe back in that time, those people, like all these new jobs and factories were just opening up, and they're like, "Oh, I could just go here and make this much money in this amount of time in 1 week," and instead of keeping their narrow focus on their business that they already had and was like this money, they saw something better than it, bigger and better, so they just dropped that and got the job.
The other problem. The other factor, I didn't really want to bring this up because it's not the point of the podcast, but the other factor is that people, I think, did get to a certain age where they want to start a family.
Mm-hmm. True.
And it's hard to start a family when you have a passion that doesn't make a lot of money. It's just
no kids here. That is not in mind.
Yeah, so it's just the unfortunate. It's just the unfortunate truth, I think. And people.
But you sell tie-dye baby shirts.
Yes,
we saw that.
I do. Because
yeah, interesting.
People started asking me for those actually. Like, that wasn't my doing. People come.
That was by demand.
Yeah, and they're like, "Could you make baby outfits? Could you make baby hats?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, I can make whatever you want." So that's a lot of. You gotta what people want. That's what you have to make. Like, I was just doing T-shirts, and I was like, why aren't these T-shirts selling as much as I wanted them to? So I had to broaden it and buy baby outfits.
I just had this thought while we're talking. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've been talking about the 50s and the boomers, and you traded in your tie-dye shirt for a suit. Tie-dye suits.
Oh my God, that would be
tie-dye
awesome.
suits.
Or tie-dye ties.
Tie-dye ties. I just thought of that.
Tie-dye ties. That just rolls out the tongue, actually. I've never seen a tie-dye tie.
We'll take 10%.
Yeah, I was about to say, before we
sale.
actually give you the idea, we're gonna have to write that in the
10% of every
contract.
sale. Yeah. Thank you.
Tie-dye ties. That rolls right off the tongue, actually.
It does. Yeah. Tie-dye tie. Yeah.
You're
welcome.
They have to be cotton though. They have to be a certain fabric. That's another thing. Like, you can't just buy any shirt or like any. That shirt would not be able to. If it was white, I could not tie it.
Take it off.
You suck.
I will take one of those tie-dye ties. So
Yeah, I'm actually. I would
Hey
buy
guys,
a tie-dye tie.
Mr. Burke here. Oh, like your tie.
Hey, Mr.
Great.
Berg, you gotta wear a tie on today.
I'm
That's-
definitely gonna look into cotton ties when I go home.
Yeah, for real.
There you
That's
go.
actually a decent idea.
I'm glad that we gave you the idea. And actually, that's the last question I have for us. Not tie-dye ties. The last question, though, is the passion that drives us for the small business. And Shannon, you really gave us what your passion is. It's something that you enjoy doing. When you go to work, you actually have fun.
Yeah.
And you actually enjoy other people doing it, too, which is really cool. And like I said, I hope you don't lose that spirit, because 40 years from now, I don't want to see it and be like, yeah, all these people got the tie-dye stuff, and it's really making me mad. I started this.
Every accent is a smoker from New
Every
York.
angry person
Manhattan,
is
New York.
spiteful and from New York.
Yeah.
I started this, and all of a sudden it's going wild. So I hope you don't. I hope you don't become that person. But what? The question is, what drives our passion? Us, not millennials in general. Let's just speak for us here. We got Shannon's passion for it, but what about us though?
What drives our passion?
Yeah, to do our own small business. I just want to hear your raw
I'm also
experience.
interested in this.
Yeah. I guess being that my dad's owned his own businesses, my brother runs a business, and I've always helped with his business. It goes back to, it's kind of like what you said, like you grow up, you watch him make the schedules, you watch him do all that. So I grew up watching my dad do all that, and it really is way easier than people think, or at least because I've seen it all, it just seems easier to me.
That's what I thought too.
So it just seems like if I didn't try to start my own business, I would be doing myself a disservice. It's like, I know how to do it all. So why? I don't like, and I personally don't like 9-to-5 jobs. I hate schedules. I'm bad at it. You'd be surprised. Like, people who own businesses are those kind of people where they're kind of a brainiac, or like their brain, they're almost ADD. I've seen this a lot. There's a lot of ADD types that are just business owners because the way their mind works, it doesn't work on that schedule that some people's do. So mine is like, if I wake up, I have to be at somewhere at 9 o'clock. I'm always late. I'm terrible at it. I'm always late
coming here.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's
You guys are peas.
What?
Bees?
Peas in the Myers-Briggs personality scale. The last one is P or J, and P's are people who say it'll get done when it gets done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'll get done when it gets done. And J's, I'm a J. I like schedules. I like structure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
J.
I think the reason why I don't like 9-to-5 jobs is exactly that. I don't like having a hard schedule, but I like having the freedom of doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah, see, I like having my own schedule. Like, I literally have a book that I plan every day and write, like, times and what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do after I do that, what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I should have done yesterday. But as soon as, like, I tried getting a job at FedEx, as soon as I had that schedule, I was like, I don't want to do this at all. I didn't even want to do my art just because I knew I had to be there at a certain time.
We're broken.
And do this. Yeah, like, it makes you feel like you're broken. But honestly, I think it's a gift that we aren't just structured and, like, doing every day, like, the same exact as yesterday.
I love the P's. I hate them. I butt heads with them so much.
My dad.
And yet, they look at us.
My dad's the same way. He never shows up somewhere. But he tells my mom he's home at 6. He'll be home at like 8:30 every time. It's like he does that on purpose.
I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah.
That's a P.
Yeah.
It gets done. It'll get done when it gets done. And a J is more like I'll be there at 8. I'll be there at 6, and you're there at 6. That's how I, They butt heads, but so I mean it works though.
Yeah.
Kyle, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it through the perspective of inheriting a business. So like as someone who's getting a business, and I'm sure people who start their own businesses think the same way, but it's kind of like how can I, adapt or brand this to make it more successful. You see it's successful, right? So how can you take that to the next level? I'm someone that's always saying, how can, if I throw my net in there, how can I widen my net to catch more fish, right? So how can you widen your market and get more fish? That's kind of the metaphor, I guess. I look at every business decision and, hopefully, down the road when I do inherit the business is something that will kind of drive me to make decisions. So
it's interesting. For me, my passion on what we do is that you only have one life to live, and that
YOLO.
life is too short.
YOLO.
But life is too short. I know that personally. I know that it can end in an instant, and I just really feel like you have to really give it your all. And I'm really passionate about being authentic, speaking your voice, and doing what you love. And I love doing this. I really do. I love being myself. And I always had problems with that growing up, being myself, except with my family who's here and my friends, best friends that are here. But to just be able to do that, it's just fun.
And have people support you or go along with it.
Right.
Like,
and I don't care what it gets me either. That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's what drove me to bring up the point too about like, it's not about really money. It's about the passion.
It's about enjoying your time, enjoying the work that you put in, and enjoying the product that you're seeing and that you're watching other people see and like and comment on and share it, and just watching it all grow. Something that you made so deep from your heart, like grow. It's a feeling you'll never get from working a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is. And I think that's what life should reflect.
Exactly, and that is what I'm so passionate about, is doing what you want to do and enjoying your schedule, enjoying your day, and not coming home from a job that you have and just laying on the couch because you don't feel like doing anything else for the rest of the day. I'm up and moving from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, thinking about what I could do, what I could buy next for this business, how I can broaden my horizons and include more people in my sales. And it's just like I wake up thinking about this, I go to sleep thinking about this. And it's like, it's not even like it weighs on me. It's like I wake up and I'm like, sweet, I got to rinse my dyes out today and post these pictures and then do this. And it's just like a process that keeps getting bigger and I keep falling more in love with. It's crazy.
It's good. It's wonderful and it's beautiful. And I'm really glad that you came on the show to show that, to express that, to give us your opinion and your passions. Before we go into our final comments, can you just tell us where to find you?
Yeah, okay, so my website is spiritsmorefree.com. shop.bigcartel.com, and let me just explain the name of my brand. So SMF is my initials, Shannon Michelle Fleming. So Spirits More Free also goes along with my initials. I spent like 3 months trying to figure out like what the perfect name was, like all the way back in, I don't know if it was sophomore year or junior year, but me and a group of my friends, I kept asking them and my family, like, oh, what should I put? Like, does this sound good? Does this sound good? So finally settled. I knew I wanted to have like a little logo that I could like put around and put on stickers and put places, and just to have a logo that was small and short and to the point. But I also wanted my initials in it, so I figured if I used my initials to make the name, then that would be perfect. So we actually settled on Spirits More Free. So that's also my Instagram name, and nobody else had that, so it's just Spirits More Free. And I don't have a Facebook page yet for it, but I do post some on my Facebook, which is just Shannon Fleming. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, if you don't have Instagram or anything like that, then yeah. And I plan on making a YouTube channel for it. I have a YouTube that's just under my name, but I'm going to make the name consistent through all the platforms, so it's easier to find for people. So in the future, look out for that.
We will. We all will. Thanks for sharing where we can find you, and we really appreciate you coming on and, like I said, giving your opinions and your passions about what you do. Lastly, we're just going to go to final thoughts and what final thoughts about the show, final thoughts about other things.
First, I want to say I love this. I love the podcast that you have going on. I love that you're passionate about it, and that you guys are starting to do it every week now. I already watched the other 3 that you guys put up just so I like knew what was going on here. I already started
cool.
You did your
sharing
research.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're about to get into it.
Yeah. I already started just to read you guys and see how you act. But I already started sharing your page as well, networking for you guys to my family, my friends.
Yeah, I was going to say she did that
hot
before.
damn.
Didn't even tell her to do that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow.
Gotta
We'll have to-
support other small businesses,
Yeah.
small people.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who's been on our podcast so far this season, at least. We've had a bunch of seasons. And it's not like this. But they've all had something that they had, you know, whether it was a wrestling club or a gym or a brand that they were selling T-shirts or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
whatever.
ironically, the last guest too also sold T-shirts.
I
but it
know.
was
Isn't
just
that crazy?
to a different degree.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But every one of them, you know, we said to them, you know, we support you and we hope that you support us. So we really, really appreciate it. And you did that before you even came on, which is
Yeah.
really, really cool.
For sure. And I'm going to do it when I go home, too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll wrap up here too. So I think it's cool that, you know, this is our 4th guest on for the season, and out of all the guests we had, everybody's provided something to the show, and it's really cool to have someone on like you. That I think what's neat is, you know, the name of the show is the Sunday Millennial, and I think it can get misconstrued that we are just preaching for the millennial generation.
Yeah.
What we don't want is that people think that we are only here for millennials. I think what it is it's our perspective about what other people can bring onto the show. So having someone on at your age, it just shows that it is so possible to do what you do, and you don't have to. It doesn't matter. It does not matter the you know what you didn't tell me. Looking at you, you look like a young girl, but you know you're 20 years old and you have your own business, and you're showing people that it's possible to do something like that. It opens the eyes of people that will see this show and see that it really is possible, that you don't have to, you know, stick to the norm, and you can branch out and do whatever you want. So it's really cool to have you on, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And it's kind of cool because it's like my passion through your guys' perspective, and that like ties in with the Sunday Millennial. Like, it's the Sunday Millennials perspective on everything that's going on, or all the guests that you guys bring on here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's cool.
You're reading into
Very,
it.
very well
That's
put.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's good.
So I'm going to shift it to current events. So if you guys haven't been following or heard of this thing called the Gorilla Dust Cloud, is a dust storm that's coming from the Sahara Desert
I have
in Africa, the strongest in over 50 years. And it's supposed to hit parts of the South in the United States and all the way north to Indiana. And I think the biggest takeaway here, I was going to talk a little more about it, but the biggest takeaway is just kind of how entangled we are as a world. And I think this is a physical reminder of that. So for those people that are impacted by this, you know, stay safe and spend some extra time indoors, which I think we're all used to, right?
No, not another PSA to stay at home.
Oh, God.
That's so interesting, too, because my final thought is going to be the opposite of that.
Oh,
Go outside and enjoy the Enjoy the dust.
Yeah.
Well, that's just
Dust.
people that are. Everyone else can go outside.
Right.
But
Just
Oh,
affected
okay.
by it. Well, people who have respiratory issues, because COVID,
Yeah.
affects that, and now they have the dust.
It's a bad
and
year to breathe.
It's the bad year to breathe. But I'll just say that I really appreciate everything that was said here. First of all, I just kind of love how you figured out kind of what we're doing too.
Mhm.
No one really figured that out yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at observing people and reading, and I could see your energy and where you're gonna put it, just by a few sentences.
Wow. Well,
I'm a Pisces.
Oh no, I don't know what that means, but now I'm scared.
I'm a Gemini, so we don't probably mix
Oh
very
Lord.
well. Yeah.
I just know that everybody usually hates Gemini, but my dad's a Gemini, so
well,
It's
we get a
easy.
bad rap. We get a bad
Yeah.
rap, but it's okay though.
you gotta give him a chance, though. You can't. Just,
That's the thing. You have to give them a chance.
yeah.
And
It's either you
sh-
hate them or you love them.
right. And you should give us a chance here on the Sunday Millennial, and you should give
Yes.
you a chance with your great products that you provide. It's cool stuff. I know I'm going to buy something. That's all I have to
gosh.
say. That's all.
Still have to give you guys your shirts.
You do.
Let's
right?
see them. Let's
you
do
gonna
it.
give it to us?
Okay.
The shirts?
Right. I don't know whose size is who.
I don't have a drum roll.
I'm a
sorry.
3X.
Ooh, can I get that? Can I get that top
CJ's
one?
the biggest one.
This one.
Please be a
Shut
large.
your
Let me
mouth.
just see the sizes. This one's a large.
Okay, cool. It's me. I just like that bottom portion.
Okay, there's a
actually.
2X.
Damn, you made this.
Do you make them in quad X?
I can make whatever you want. This is extra large.
That'll be me.
Wrong.
Okay. This one.
Thank you.
Is also extra large. No, this one's a large.
Me.
That's you. Oh, sorry. This one's
I like how Donald's just
E-rated.
placing on his chest.
It's on.
And then this one's a 2XL.
The best for last.
Represent.
Alright, I love it.
It actually looks like legit. Like, I mean, I don't know.
And it feels really good too. It doesn't feel like I bought it at Walmart.
I'm looking at the I'm looking at a camera.
I saw that.
I made a face in the cameras.
That's okay.
It's nice.
Cool.
Very cool.
Thank you.
It
Thank you so
brightens
much.
up the room, doesn't it?
Yeah, look at all
Seeing
this-
all the colors.
So how about
everywhere.
this? How about we make you a deal? Next time you come on the show, we'll all
Okay.
wear.
Okay,
tie-dye.
sounds
Yeah.
great.
That sound good, guys?
I'm in.
We'll wear these
Works.
shirts, and you'll be representing.
Maybe I'll be
so.
like head to toe in tie dye.
Yeah.
Or you can wear a suit.
She's
That'd
gonna
be
wear
better.
the suit.
Yeah.
You'll wear your suit tie dye and your
And
tie
we'll
dye
wear the
tie.
tie-dyes.
Yeah.
While we're formal for the next one.
Yeah, that's good. But anyway, like I said, Shannon, it's been great for you to be on here, and thank you for the shirts.
Of course.
For my final thought, kind of opposite what Kylie was saying, I just want to encourage people. I really do. Everyone here on this show, I don't know Shannon specifically, but maybe, but everyone here on the show that I know of is improving their health.
Oh my god, me too.
There you go. Okay, good. So I can include you in this. CJ, Kyler, of course Donald. Geez, look at his Instagram. Myself and Shannon too. We're working on ourselves. Summertime is really a great opportunity to work on your fitness and improve your overall health. It really is. All of us here, I know of, are seeing results. CJ told me about some results that he's getting. I've been getting results, as I told Donald. Donald, you've been showing some stuff on Instagram. You're getting results too.
I stay in shape. I never get out.
Right, but you're showing results. And Kyler,
Not
I know
really.
you've been
Stagnant right
biking a
now.
lot. You've been getting good results too.
We're getting there slowly.
You're getting
but
there. Shannon, getting results?
I've actually changed my whole entire diet, so that's like what I'm focusing on, and I do plan on starting to go to the gym and just. But besides to the gym, I have been going outside and running. I actually started running miles like we used to in high school. I wanted to see if I could still do it under like 12 minutes like they try,
Oh yeah.
which I got like 11 seconds over 12 minutes, but I'm
Still.
I'm
I got-
trying.
There you
I
go.
got my
progress
4
is
mile-
progress.
I got my 4 miles in right exactly 12 minutes, so I passed.
There you go.
4 miles.
I used
4
to
miles,
hate it
yeah.
in high school, but now
You
it's
did
like
track.
What?
You mean
4
1
laps.
4 laps?
4 laps, whatever.
That's
Four
one.
miles.
Which is
That's
1 mile.
Yeah.
1 mile
Mhm.
in 12
Whatever.
minutes.
Oh.
Anyway,
Trying to sound impressive.
so we are seeing results, and that's really good. That's really good to see. And as gyms, as you said, Shannon, start to open or reopen, you may be anxious to go back though, with everything going on. But just remember that it may be a risk. Now, I'm not saying not to go, of course. If you want to go and you feel like you want to go and you have that passion to go, please go. Just be careful. And also remember that it's still summertime. As I said, perfect weather for running, as you said, like I like to do, biking like Kyler. But you can also do swimming and hiking, anything outdoors. Yoga, you can do yoga outdoors. You can stretch outdoors. June is just about over, it's true. We have one more week. But it doesn't mean that there's not plenty of summer left. There's a lot of summer left. And plenty of opportunity to get to the health level that you want, whether that be through dieting or exercise. And we're in it too, all of us. That's our show. Stay tuned, stay happy, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to our show. For more episodes, you can download The Sunday Millennial wherever you get your podcasts and reach out to us at thesundaymillennial@gmail.com.